Okay, I do believe we're live. Sorry about that. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brian Lomax Movie Talk. Tonight was meant to be Silence of the Lambs commentary. Obviously, we started our Hannibal Lecter series this week with the simultaneous release on all of our channels of the Manhunter review that each of us did. Unfortunately, CP can't join us tonight due to personal issues. Guy's going through the ringer a bit at the moment, so send your love his way. If you have any to give, the guy is awesome and he needs to know it right now. But yeah, out of respect for CP, just because he started this with us by doing the Manhunter thing, we really don't feel like we should go ahead with it without him. So we're kind of left a little bit dangling. We don't really know what we're going to talk about tonight, but we thought we'd just come on air anyway. If you are in the chat, Luke, I know you're there, but anybody else, if you're watching and you have any questions for us at all, please leave them in the sidebar and we will answer them. We'll use them as a talking point. It'd be really nice just to have this as essentially just a live Q&A. But in the meantime, if no questions pop up, then us guys will just think of random stuff to talk about, and it may get a little bit hectic, as it often does with us lot. But yeah, if you're watching, thanks for joining us. If you're watching this in the future, again, thanks for joining us. First of all, guys, is there any, and I get the feeling Lee in particular will point something out here, but is there any big news that was recently released that you would like to talk about?
Oh man, well,
anything Halloween related, maybe?
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Friday
that.
the 13th related?
Yeah, I just put up. You know what's funny? As I was editing my Scream 2 review the other day, and then one of my Facebook friends, he was a big horror buddy of mine when I was deployed in 2010, and man, toe to toe on anything horror. And so we hit it off, and we've been buddies ever since. So anytime there's like a big horror story, if I don't see it first, he's like quick to shoot me a link. So anyway, he shot me a link to Friday the 13th, and I guess they're thinking about doing another origin story, and they're going to put Pamela Voorhees in there. Boy, I bet CP would have loved this conversation, wouldn't he? But yeah, that was the biggest thing this week for me is Friday the 13th, and last week was Halloween. So for a horror fan, this has been just, you can't beat it. It's been awesome. But if it'll ever happen, because we've constantly been.
Do you feel like because there always seems to have been a little bit of competition between Michael Myers fans and Jason Voorhees fans. Friendly competition. Do you feel like the release of this news for both franchises within a week is kind of stoking the fires a bit of that friendly competition, trying to get people interested in both franchises again?
Yeah, it is kind of peculiar, isn't it? Like, it seems like every time we get a news update for Halloween, shortly after there's a news update for Friday the 13th, and vice versa. But one thing that's cool about it is there's always this kind of air of respect between Michael fans and Jason fans, because for the most part, I'm a Halloween fan, but I still love Friday the 13th. And I think it goes both ways. So either way, I think we all win. But yeah, there's always a little bit of that, And the big question is, everybody's always asked, are we ever going to get like a Michael versus Jason movie? But because they're in two different studios, I don't ever see that happening. But I'd watch it.
Who wins?
Oh God.
Michael Myers. Michael Myers.
I think you know what? It'd be a damn good fight because they're two very different killers, And it seems like nothing phases Michael. Like if Jason's hurt, he seems like he's hurt. Whereas Michael, either you kill me or I keep coming after you. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't want to say Michael would win, but it would be a really good fight because they're just so different. Jason's more of a brute, whereas Michael is just evil incarnate. So it's like. Yeah, the purest of evil against an unstoppable force. So, and then those two coming at each other, and it's hard to predict. It really is. What do you guys think?
So I'll let you go first.
I think Michael Myers. I
I like Michael Myers. So.
like Jason is like you kind of said, he's more of a brute force kind of guy. Michael Myers is like he'll pause and think about things, and he'll actually like admire his work after he's put like a knife through the guy into the like lifted the guy up and put it through the cupboard and let him swing, and he'll actually watch it and he'll like, you know, so it's like he's taking enjoyment, where I think Jason is more or less just kind of reactionary. Like, you know, it's like I'm here, I'm supposed to kill you, but you know, it's like there's not so much maliciousness as it is just he doesn't know what else to do.
Reactionary is the perfect word for it, because if you watch the first Halloween, Michael, he knows what he's doing, and he likes to have fun with his victims.
Like
he likes to play peekaboo.
Put the bed sheet over himself and stood in the doorway with the girl in the bed and stuff, where she's like, oh, why don't you come here? And he's like, you know, nodding his head and all that. You know, it's like Jason doesn't do that stuff. Jason just kind of like, oh, I'm going to kill you now. And, you know,
well, in Friday the 13th, you come to Jason. In Halloween, Michael comes to you.
Michael comes
so it's different.
Yeah.
I think
that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd pick Michael.
Michael Myers has got a better score as well, I think. But Jason was always kind of a cheap. We come on without CP, and then we end up trashing one of his things.
CP's not here, so we're still Friday the 13th.
Yeah, CP's not here, so let's trash Friday the 13th. I'll just say one thing. I always looked at Jason Voorhees, and I'm sure CP would agree with me on this. I always looked at Jason Voorhees as a Michael Myers knockoff anyway, because they pretty much. I'll say what they did right with Jason Voorhees. I think Michael Myers started on a real high. I think out of all the movies, all the Friday the 13th movies, all the Halloween movies, that first Halloween film, that's the high note of them all. But and I'm sure Lee will disagree with me on this. I think the Halloween movies had a trajectory that kind of went like this, and then the Friday the 13th movies, as they were going alongside them, kind of had a trajectory that went more like this. So at some point,
though.
yeah. Well, it did.
You gotta remember they went like this.
Yeah.
And they went straight down.
Yeah. But either way,
like a nosedive.
Yeah, like if you just take that 80s period.
Yeah. 1, 2, and 3 in particular.
Yeah. I think there's like a cross section there, where like literally Halloween was going downhill and Friday the 13th was going uphill. But then, like you say, Friday the 13th, for me, Halloween briefly went back up with Halloween H2O. I don't know what you guys think of that, but for me, that was... I thought it was one of the better Halloween films since the original, to be honest. I mean, Lee's probably the guy to speak to on this one. What's your record?
Let me give you my thoughts on this. For me, Friday the 13th, it's great up until part 6. Like 6 is like the top. It's just great. And then it really took a nosedive. Not with 7, but 8 and on, it's just completely down. Like horrible. Whereas Halloween for me, it does have those hills and valleys. You know, you have Halloween, which are great. 4 is great in my opinion, debatable. But then 5 is horrible, debatable. 6 to me is great, but a lot of people hate 6, so debatable. You know what I mean? It's like Halloween, every sequel has fans that just love that movie, whereas I think Friday, there are certain movies where everybody hates. You know, Resurrection now, that's one that everybody hates for Halloween. But for me, yeah, Halloween, even Rob Zombie's Halloween one is not that good, but two, to me, it's a different type of movie. To me, it's like it's got almost like an artistic flair to it, and I use Rob Zombie an artistic.
I thought two was okay. I thought two was okay until Rob Zombie decided that his wife was going to take center stage, and all that weirdness that went on with her, like a dreamlike kind of thing was going on where she was in a white dress, and I was out of the movie at that point. I just did not care.
You know what?
The first one he did.
90% of horror fans probably, I don't want to say 90%, but most people do not like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And I went into a whole spiel about this in my review. But there's something about it to me that just resonates. And I think the more you watch it, you kind of see what Rob Zombie was going for, because he was really strapped down with the first outing, because he wanted to make his own vision, but he still had to do a remake. So the second half of the movie is that it's really kind of a half-assed remake. Whereas the second one, he was like, okay, I can stretch my legs, I can actually make my own movie, and he really made it. He didn't even use Carpenter's score until the very end. But I think I challenge you to watch Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and just detach the name Halloween from it and watch it as just a slasher movie, and it's more of a psychological slasher than anything.
Or detach their name Rob Zombie from it.
Yeah. You might be onto something there, Peter. Because I am no Rob Zombie fanboy. I'm going to tell you that right now. The guy, he is hit and miss. Lords of Salem, I
think he's miss and miss. So far, I've not seen a good film come out of him.
Never seen a Rob Zombie film, I've got to be honest.
Really?
Never seen one.
I wanted to walk out of The Devil's Rejects.
Yeah,
I like Devil's Rejects, but
I wanted to walk out of The Devil's Rejects, but my friend wanted to stay and finish it. So
there's a serious echo coming. I don't know if it's coming out of you, Brian.
Let me see, because I have mine on mute.
I don't know. I keep on hearing like everything echoing.
Is that off me?
I don't know. I checked.
I'm talking right now. Can you hear? I mean, is it echoing?
A little bit.
I don't know.
I've not noticed any echo, so.
Yeah, I've been hearing it. I undid my stuff and tried to see if it was me, but I can't. I don't think it's me. I don't know.
We've got some questions in the sidebar, guys.
Before we get to that, I will say one thing about Friday the 13th that me and Lee can agree on.
Okay.
Has the best kill in any horror movie. Jason machete to the face of a guy in a wheelchair going down the stairs.
Absolutely.
It's the best kill. It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
It is. It's the greatest kill ever.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you can't beat that kill.
Not my favorite. My favorite. Oh, I think you can. My boxer from Jason Takes Manhattan, when Jason punches his head off. I love that. I just love it. It's like that film is terrible. The film is awful.
I don't know. There's something about a guy in a wheelchair. You're thinking maybe he'll get spared.
What's that, Peter?
There's like just it's one of those things where you see the guy in the wheelchair and you think, oh, he's in a wheelchair. Maybe they'll spare him. But meanwhile, he gives him a machete and then that knocks him backwards down the flight of stairs. And it's just like, nope, didn't see. He's not discriminatory against the handicapped. I'll give that to Jason.
Do you think they do that today?
Please allow me to analyze the wheelchair kill.
It is so funny.
I think it's. I'm serious. I think it's great on so many levels because, A, it's funny. I mean, it's a really funny kill. B, it's shocking. Like the first time you see it, it really just blows your hair back. You can't believe what you're seeing. Did Jason just put a machete across a guy's face in a wheelchair and push him down the stairs?
Push him down the stairs.
He could have ended it with just a kill. But no, he takes it a step further and pushes him down the stairs. So it really just touches on so many levels. I love that.
It's not just like a small, like 3 or 4 stairs. It's not like a flight of stairs,
No.
like cement stairs. Oh, man.
Yeah, it's the greatest kill ever.
Okay, so Dylan,
Any questions?
has anyone seen the classic 80s movie Motel Hell? I personally haven't.
I
No.
haven't either. That's one I've been wanting to check out, actually.
No.
I haven't heard of it. I've not even heard of it. So,
No. I did watch
do
Video
you guys
Drone.
know what that one is then?
No, never heard of it.
Right.
I think Scream Factory.
No, I don't know Motel Hell.
Scream Factory put out a Blu-ray for Motel Hell.
Right.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Okay, I'll have to do some research into that one.
yeah.
Sean, sorry if I'm going to butcher your name here, Sean.
I'm interested.
Sean Hafnerson? Hafnereson? Sorry, Sean, totally butchered that one. But he asks, what do you think of Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck executive producing the DC films?
I'm happy about it.
Yeah, I think it's a
Was
good
that a
thing.
no, Peter?
No, I'm happy about it. I think it's good. We've lost it.
You're happy?
Yeah, I think if Jeff Johns is going to be in charge of the films in general, what are you laughing at?
Who was executive
it's,
producing before?
apparently, just Ali just disappeared,
No,
Yeah,
I'm right here.
and then he's just reappeared.
He's
It was like a magic trick, man.
Yeah.
Executive producing before.
Yeah.
You were gone and then you were there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jeff Johns and Ben Affleck are apparently going to oversee the DC films, produce them all. So, what are your thoughts on that one?
I don't
Peter,
know,
you go first.
Did you say Peter go first?
It's all right, Lee. You go first. You've got something to say. So,
I know Batman v Superman is my favorite movie of this year so far. I stand by that. But I really think DC is like, they don't know what to do right now. I think they're scrambling. I think they're scared to death because of the reaction of Batman v Superman. And I just wish that they would stick to what their original plan was and just go for it. You know what I mean? I think right now, because they're panicking and they're freaking out, it can only be bad for the franchise. That's what I think. But now, as far as Ben Affleck, I mean, yeah, I'd love him to direct one. Executive produce, yeah, sure, that's fine. But I don't know. I would just like to be a fly on the wall inside Warner Brothers right now to see. I would just love to see what is going on in these meetings. You know what I mean? That's my take.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
If they're trying to get the Kevin Feige role, like, you know, it's like Kevin Feige's in charge of Marvel. So if they're giving Jeff Johns the reins for DC and basically saying, listen, we need someone to kind of pilot the ship. I'm for that. Like he writes comic books, so he should have a firm grasp on what they want. But no, and Ben Affleck is a good filmmaker. I don't know what he's executive produced before. I couldn't tell you. I'm guessing he's like executive produced a lot of his stuff that he's directed. He's only directed 3 movies though, so it's not like his filmography's massive. So,
Yeah, but he also wrote Good Will Hunting, so
yeah,
it's kind of 4 movies.
Yeah, well, writing and directing not the same. Like I'm just.
Oh, it shows that you have a clear vision. It shows that you can.
It does, yeah.
It shows that you can map out a story in such a way that you. I mean, if you don't have a good script, you don't have a good film. It's simple as that. I mean, like we've been over this before. It's like it starts on the page. If you don't have it on the page, you don't have anything.
Yeah, executive producing doesn't
Yeah.
he's not going to be writing the stories the same way, right? So
no, but when you're an executive producer, you do get some control over the direct where it's going to head. I mean,
the writing I'm more happy with John's for, because that's what he does.
See, I'm happier with Ben Affleck being on board, simply because some that he's been involved with as a writer have been spot on. I mean, I know Chris Terrio did the screenplay for Argo, but Ben Affleck was involved in that. But I just, as a filmmaker, he knows what he's doing. Jeff Johns, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure he's also in charge of the TV stuff, so Arrow and Flash. And I just feel like if you give him the movies too, that kind of workload is gonna be so much that I don't know. I feel like something's gonna suffer. You look at someone like Kevin Feige. I don't know. It's just, to me, I'd agree with Lee on this in that I think it stinks of desperation. I think it's reactionary. The studio have heard the critics. They're not entirely listening to all of the fans, because you look at the score for Batman v Superman on IMDb, and it really betrays the criticism that has come out. It doesn't paint the kind of picture that you would expect from the level of criticism that the film has received. And it was the same with Man of Steel. You look at the rating on that on IMDb, audiences liked it a lot more than critics would have you believe. Mm-hmm. And like Lee says, they clearly had a direction. They knew where they were going. They were mapping things out. Stick to it. Have the balls to do. Okay, make a couple of changes, tweak it here and there if you have to, but stick with your plan. Have faith in the overall story you were going to tell. I still say, I think Batman v Superman is flawed, but I still loved it. It's one of my favourite films of this year, just because of the level of enjoyment I got out of it as a Batman fan, as a Superman fan. So I'd say at least reserve judgment until we get this ultimate cut of the film, because there's a 3-hour cut coming, isn't there? Let us see that. Let us see what pieces they can put back together, and then reserve judgment for that, I think, because at the end of get to release his film, he didn't get to release the finished film. The studio chopped it. So, is that Snyder's fault or the studio's? He gave Snyder this ship. Let him steer it. Yeah. Put out the movie he makes.
It'll always seem like it's always going to seem like the director's fault, regardless. Like Blade Runner, right? People still who have complaints about that film from the original are still blaming Ridley Scott. When clearly it wasn't, Ridley Scott's fingerprints were all over the film because he was the director, but it wasn't exactly his vision of what he wanted to get out. The studio steps in, but no one cares about the studio's name. They care that, the director, this is the film the director made, right? Regardless of whether the studio came in and hacked it. Sometimes I'll be honest, I've heard of directors getting their first cuts of films back and being like, what movie is this? Because this isn't what I filmed.
Yeah.
I know I filmed that, but we were just that's not the way it was supposed to go. It wasn't edited that way. It wasn't you've changed it. And so they were that's not my film. That's
I can give you an example of that. The Crow City of Angels.
Yeah, I heard about that. The
film, the theater. Well, what happened was the Weinsteins they wanted a movie that was a complete copy of The First Crow, and then so the movie that Tim Pope made, I guess tonally it was different, action-wise it was different, and when you watch it now, it's so hacked up. It's a bad movie. It's just a really bad movie, and I never even knew that until recently.
Yeah.
But I would love to see, what director Tim Pope's original intention was, because he said that he did not want anything that was to resemble the first movie, because out of respect for Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what happens when directors and studios, they can't, see eye to eye, and then you end up getting a movie that oftentimes is crap.
Is not what, like, it's the thing. The studio quite often thinks they're fixing it. Meanwhile, they're not giving a film that it's due justice for what it's supposed to get, and they're definitely not honoring what the director wanted, right? And so it's just, like, you end up with neither, and then you end up like, and no one's happy, and then, but again, the director usually gets the blame. So it's one of those things where the director's name gets thrown in there.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that DC isn't so influenced by Marvel that they try to put out the same type of movie, which I don't think they're gonna.
I hope not.
That's what's great about DC. It's like if you're a DC fan, you have something that's for you. If you're a Marvel fan, you have something that's for you. We all benefit because, let's face it, I'm a DC fan, but I'm still going to go to Marvel movies. I'm still going to enjoy it. But when I go to a Marvel movie, I don't want it to be like a DC movie. So that's why I'm hoping they stick to that trajectory.
I think the headphones are working, buddy.
How's that?
I don't hear myself echoing anymore, so it's got to be that.
So it was Brian's fault?
It was Brian's fault the entire time.
Yes.
I was like, I bet he's getting headphones.
Guys in the chat, if that's made a difference, can you just let us know in the chat? Because I'd like to just know if that's better.
Because I'm not hearing it anymore. And, but yeah, one thing with I got skewered, but I don't know if you guys follow Organized Cast Productions. He's a friend of CP.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Bob. He did a Marvel versus DC video this week, which is like 13 minutes long, and he kind of like broke down the numbers and stuff, and in the comments, he just kind of said, DC needs to start taking some risks, or DC's should stop playing it safe. And I just kind of said, I think Marvel's the one that's playing it safe. Like, I don't think Marvel's taking any real risks with their properties. And I got skewered in the comments section. People were just all over me, and I'm just like, so to the point where I was like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. And I just like, because it was just like, I just wanted it to end, and it didn't mean anything. But
the thing is, I think you're right, because there's a difference between not taking risks and making a bad film, because Marvel don't make bad films.
No, they don't.
I would still agree with you that they do
yeah.
works.
Yep.
They found a formula that works.
That works.
And that's great because it makes really good movies. But
they don't make great movies.
No, well, there's a couple, but yeah, on the whole, they make
like
really good
movies.
Great
movies, like Marvel
it's like, look, yeah,
it's just
knock Zack Snyder all you want, but at the end of the day, he took a lot of risks on that film with some of the decisions he made, creative decisions. I'll admit I'm a bit of a fanboy when it comes to that film. Anyone who knows me knows my love for Batman, but to me it felt like a much more riskier prospect, as did Man of Steel when that first came out, than anything that Marvel had put out. But that's personal opinion.
Well, it's the thing, right? Like everyone jumped on me because I was like, Marvel doesn't make great films. I said what they make is good fun films, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with making good fun films, but they're not taking any risks. And of course, people go, Guardians of the Galaxy was a huge risk, and I'm like, was it really? They already had a formula down that they knew would kind of work, and I'm like, and what's the worst that could happen? That movie didn't make any money, no one liked it. they haven't offended anyone with anyone's like who knew who anyone in Guardians of the Galaxy was, right? You get Batman wrong, people hate you. You get Star-Lord wrong, who the freak cares? No one knows who he is. Like, I didn't know anyone. People would ask me because they're like, "You're a geek. Who's it? What's this Guardians of the Galaxy movie about?" And I'd be like, "I don't know." I'm like, "It's about a raccoon and a tree that I didn't know." So it's like, if they got the characters wrong, they didn't offend a single person. If they did what they did, which was put out a fun film with good actors, and did a kind of a heisty, fun movie, following the Marvel kind of guidelines of this is how we make films, they made a ton of money and like, but I'm like, it wasn't risky, like, because overall, like, they're backed by Disney, so it's like there is no real risk because they're gonna make back, like, even a bad film from them is gonna make back its budget. So like, it wasn't really all that risky. They didn't risk much by making Guardians of the Galaxy. So.
Even to the choice of directors as well. You look at the choice of directors. A lot of the people on the books at Marvel feel like directors that Marvel can control and put their stamp on. Whereas you look at the people that DC have been hiring. You know, you got Patty Jenkins, who got a lot of critical acclaim for Monster. You got David Ayer, who's been doing some really interesting work. I don't always like his stuff. Yeah, I don't always like his stuff, but I will admit that he certainly knows how to shoot a scene, and he does some interesting films. Yeah, he's a proper filmmaker. He's someone who, if you hire him, he's going to put his stamp on the film.
Yeah, his stamp on the film.
Whereas
Marvel,
and Zack Snyder as well.
Marvel's very much about hiring directors that will continue to do exactly what they want, and what happens when you don't? The Edgar Wright situation happens.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright, I still would have loved to have seen that movie. Like, I enjoyed Ant-Man. I'll be honest. I liked that movie a lot. I saw it twice in theaters. I thought it was fun. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies of the last, 4 years. But I'm like, if I could see the
I was not a fan of Ant-Man.
No? Of the movie at all?
No, it just felt, it really didn't feel like it belonged in the current Marvel universe.
Well, that's because it wasn't.
I don't know. It just kind of felt like out of. Yeah, it just kind of felt out of left field. But for me, I didn't like the villain. Name now. But I didn't like the villain. A lot of the jokes fell flat. Paul Rudd was good. I'll give him that. Yeah. But I liked Paul Rudd much better in Civil War. Yeah.
Well, he had a chance to be funny and just put in one-liners and stuff, but no, I liked Ant-Man, but it wouldn't. The script that Edgar Wright put together basically didn't acknowledge, other than with a word, it didn't acknowledge the Marvel universe so much. It was a closed story that you later could throw Ant-Man into the Marvel universe, but it didn't. There was no scene where he fought Falcon. That was literally thrown in afterwards. Because they're like, we need to connect this to the Marvel universe, and so they once he got kicked off the project or left the project, I'm not sure if he got kicked off or left by his free will. They took his script and said, okay, we're going to use everything we can, and then we're going to change it to fit Marvel. So,
Blue Corner just said I'm drunk.
He's drunk.
Hey, let's talk about Brie Larson, because in the comments they're talking about Brie Larson might be Captain Marvel, which I am totally for.
Hold on. Yep. You're just as drunk as Brian. Hold on. That means
Hodor.
Hodor. My mind just went blank. Hold on.
Oh, Zach's Movies and Games just joined us. Hello, Zach.
Hello, fellow Brutabas. I love Dennis. He makes me laugh every time he does that.
Okay.
Hello, fellow Brutabas. So, but yeah.
First of all, I just need to say, as much as everyone did, I thought Ant-Man was my least favorite Marvel movie.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
But as far as Brie Larson goes, yeah.
You're good with it?
I would actually say, I mean, I said, I said this in the X-Men discussion that I did a few days ago. I actually prefer Iron Man 2. I wouldn't say Ant-Man was a bad film, but
Ant-Man. Wow.
I think it's so overrated. Yeah, so overrated.
What score did you give it?
I think I gave it a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay, so I only gave it out of 5. I give it 3.5. So, like, I'm kind of with you roughly on the score. So
it's just like, yeah, I'm just saying that, like, as far as the Marvel movies go, like, generally, I think if I averaged my score out for all the Marvel movies, I think the average would be 8 out of 10.
Mine would be more 3.5 so 7.
Yeah. So
okay, the blue corner just put down the Incredible Hulk. We cannot have that.
Yeah, he came out with that crap the other day when I did the X-Men discussion.
What, the Incredible Hulk? What?
He says that Incredible Hulk is worse than Ant-Man, and it's just not.
Incredible Hulk is one of their best movies.
It is. It's one of the best. Thank you, Peter. It's one of the best Marvel movies. I don't
It's one of the
get
best
it.
Marvel movies.
It's really
I'd give Incredible Hulk a solid 8 out of 10.
So would I.
Thank you.
I would give. And if I had my way, Edward Norton would have played Hulk.
Yes.
No
To
offense
me,
to Mark Ruffalo one bit.
Mark Ruffalo just is a blank slate to me. He really is.
Edward Norton's a better actor than Mark Ruffalo.
But you know what? That we must be wrong though, because I constantly see Incredible Hulk at the bottom of every Marvel list.
Yeah.
But I find that if DC fans tend to like the Incredible Hulk, like it's more up to the top than if you're like a diehard Marvel fan, it seems like Incredible Hulk's like at the bottom. It's kind of weird. I just made that statistic up, by the way.
You made it up, but it's kind of it's.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if it's true, but I don't know. I'm a fan of the Incredible Hulk movie. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it just as much as I like the Iron Man movie and stuff. So,
Yeah, I bet it's true.
So.
Okay, guys.
But I mean, if you want to break it down, all right, you got a great villain. I got to say that first because that's the one thing that Marvel movies suffer the most. I think everybody can agree on that. The villains, they have the toughest time.
Incredible Hulk is two
The
villains.
best villain they have is Iron Man. Yeah.
Is Iron Man?
So.
Yeah. Civil War.
Well,
that's their best villain.
Iron Man is their best villain?
Yeah. Civil
War, yeah.
But no. Let me talk.
Go ahead.
Abomination, you had a great creature, and you also had Blonsky, who was a great villain. Then you had Ross. There's so much good stuff there. And Ross was talking about the whole super soldier serum, and I mean, this is early in the before we were getting all these Easter eggs too. So there was a lot of great stuff there, and it's just like people just didn't grab onto it. It's weird.
And they also left a villain on the cutting room floor, basically.
The leader.
They totally just like they started him and went, yeah, we'll just forget that.
Yeah. Never mind.
I did a 2-part video a while back where I ranked all of the villains from Marvel Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Yeah.
And Abomination was easily in my top 10. I think he may have made my top 5, but
yeah.
And they haven't used him since.
Exactly. They seriously need to bring him back.
It's like they talk about in Civil War, they talk about, do we know where the Hulk is? No. Where's Abomination? It's like I know they have him, but there was. Do you guys know about that whole scene where Abomination's supposed to be a member of the Avengers?
No.
Abomination is.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember at the end of the Hulk, Tony Stark goes in the bar and talks to the general at the very end of the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
Tony Stark comes in and says, like, I want to talk to you. We're putting together a team. And then he's like, who's we? And that's the end of that. There is a Marvel one-shot.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that, actually.
Where it's Agent Sitwell and Agent Coulson, talking about the fact that General Ross wants Abomination to be part of the Avengers. And so that means they have him somewhere, right? Like they've got him kept somewhere. And they don't want, they both want the Hulk to be part of the Avengers. And so they're like, we need to convince him not to put, like, you know, what could piss him off enough that he would not want Abomination. And they went, and the whole thing's called I Know a Guy, I believe. And Coulson's like, I know a guy. And the next scene is Tony Stark walking in going, hi, you know. So originally, like in the Marvel Universe, Abomination was supposed to be part of the Avengers. And they haven't used him at all since. They didn't touch the leader after making him, like after hinting at making him.
I loved Tim Roth.
Tim Roth was great.
He was great, man. He was just, he was really into that part.
Yeah.
Just something good.
So I feel like Marvel did with the Hulk character and with that film what DC and Warner Brothers are currently doing now as a result of Batman v Superman. And it really sucks because a lot of the elements in Incredible Hulk laid groundwork for what we're getting at the moment. Yeah. And I really would love to see the return of a lot of the characters in there. So yeah, I think DC need to learn and just actually go their own way, do their own thing, let it pan out the way that it should.
Yeah, I think they are worried too much about replicating Marvel, and it's just like, listen, you're DC. You're not Marvel. You never have been. They've been, like, Marvel 90% of the time has been copying DC. If you go through characters and stuff, like how many characters existed in Marvel after, like, they were stolen directly from DC characters, like Thanos, Deadpool, like there's so many, Hawkeye, like there's so many Marvel characters that were complete rip-offs, literally complete rip-offs. Like Deadpool is, like, his name is Wade Wilson because Deathstroke is called Wade Wilson. Or
Slade Wilson.
Slade Wilson, yeah.
So just like, we're giving them the same last name and everything because we're completely ripping out, like, they're, like, it was a wink, wink, nudge, nudge to, like, you know, when they were making Thanos, they literally came behind the guy who was drawing him and said, make him look more like Darkseid. So it's like, you're DC. Just be DC. Don't worry about what Marvel's doing. Let Marvel do what Marvel does. Let them have their template. And just try and make good, like, what I want them to do is try and make great movies. That's all I'm interested in. Again, Marvel makes good, fun movies. Nothing wrong with that, but they don't make great movies. So, generally, I wouldn't say they make great movies. They make really good, fun movies. So, I want DC to strive for better.
What if Ross became Red Hulk?
Yeah, that was supposed to happen too. They were talking about that.
Dylan just mentioned that in the comments. That would be really freaking cool.
That would be a good use of him as an actor, at least.
Yeah. Have you guys heard the latest rumor about Thor Ragnarok, that it might link up to Planet Hulk?
Yeah, that's what I heard last time.
That's been a rumor that's been going on forever, though. The whole Planet Hulk.
They're kind of doing Planet Hulk, but they're kind of doing Planet Hulk, but it's mixed into Thor Ragnarok, and I'm just like, what? I like Thor. The last Thor movie was so boring that, I think putting Hulk in there with him at least would give him something.
Yeah, I'm interested. If you took the Warcraft movie and painted everybody half of them green, that could be a Planet Hulk movie.
That could be a Planet Hulk movie.
I guess I'm the only one who actually isn't all that excited by the prospect of a Planet Hulk movie. Now I know.
No, I'm not excited by it. I just I think Thor movies are boring. Like, I just rewatched Thor.
I don't like Thor either.
And the first Thor movie is okay, but it's very basic. Like, when it first came out, I got to be honest, I was amazed by it. I was like, they pulled it off. I was like, how are they going to do Thor? Like, how are they going to fit that in the Marvel Universe? And when they did it, I was like, wow, that's a great movie. And then rewatching it now, I'm like, nah, it's not a great movie. It's a fun, good movie. But it's just like, and then watching the second one, it's just, they don't know what to do with Thor. It's like, other than have him be like, hey!
The second one's really just all over the place.
Bring me another. You know, it's like,
I think like the second Thor film, I actually really like it. It's entertaining, but I do think it's a bit of a mess. There's there's a lot of things in it that are very convenient. Yet when Marvel does it, it never gets slagged off for it. But
Generally.
like towards the end with the portal, there's a few things to do with that portal that are just really convenient as to how they find things and whatnot. But I do like the film. I find it entertaining, mainly because of the relationship and the interplay between Thor and Loki. And I think Chris Hemsworth is one of the better elements of the Marvel universe as a whole as Thor. If you look at Age of Ultron, and I didn't realise this the first time I watched it, but I watched it fairly recently on DVD. But all the funniest bits in Age of Ultron are Thor. They're all
I was
Thor.
just going to say that. Thor actually does get a lot of the good lines in the Avengers.
Yeah.
But his own movies,
but I think
they just don't work.
I think it's Hemsworth, though. I think they cast perfect for that.
They did.
And I
He's
think
a great
he's the one
Thor.
who delivers.
Just the movies are
Absolutely.
direct.
Although as great a Thor as he is, I would say that Tom Hiddleston's a better Loki.
Yeah. Tom Hiddleston is a great
He's their
Loki.
only really great villain that they have in the whole Marvel universe. It's like he's literally a great villain. He's tons of fun. He's I'm not even sure who second place would be. I'm like it's that far behind everyone else. Like
Curtis Doolin just joined the chat, and he had a good comment about, do you guys prefer Marvel pre-Avengers or post-Avengers?
Curtis Doolin.
Yeah.
Who's that? Where's?
He's like, we don't believe you. You just made that up.
Curtis, you are not welcome. You are banished.
I can't see
I
that.
see it. I see it. It's right after Zach movie games.
All right. Because I have a friend called Curtis Doolin, so I'm assuming.
Maybe
Is that
Curtis? Tell us, are you Brian's friend?
Kurt? Is that you? Is that you, mate? Watching? Let us know. What did he say? Watching the Marvel movies before Avengers were good. Yeah. I get what you mean. I think, but yeah, I still disagree with that though. To be honest, because Iron Man is still one of the best one of the best Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And like we've all just
one
said,
of the best Marvel movies.
yeah, we've all
agree
just said
again.
how much we like the Incredible Hulk. And for me, the first Captain America film is and was actually one of my favorite Marvel films because I've always been quite a big lover of Captain America as a character in this franchise. I think he's got the best movies. I think he has his stories are more politically entrenched, so they have a bit more to say. I think they have a bit more going on in them, and I love that first Captain America film.
Blue Corner's right too. They definitely do get better and better as they go, especially because they got the Russo brothers.
Yeah, I'd be honest. Out of the first four Marvel movies, I'd put Captain America at the bottom. But since now, when I say at the bottom, I'm not saying it's like 2 beards out of 5. I'm saying out of the 4 movies, I think mainly because it's I don't know. There's just so much like, hey, it's like we're gonna beat the Nazis and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just with it all put together, I think it's the weakest one out of them. But
I agree with Peter.
I would say the 2 Marvel or the 2 Captain America sequels, or we'll just go one because Civil War, like I don't know, I have a hard time calling it a Captain America movie because it really is more of an Avengers movie. But Winter Soldier is probably one of the best Marvel movies, hands down.
It is the best, I think.
Yeah, it's like if it's not the best, like because people will say, well, the Avengers is the best because it brought all the elements together, and I'm like, okay, you can make an argument for that, but other than that, as a straight up movie being made and a story being told, yeah, it's easily the best because it tells a cohesive story. It's got good acting. It works on all levels, and so like compared to Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor 2, it's just those movies have gone downhill as far as I'm concerned, whereas
as much as
Captain America's gone up.
as much as I liked Abomination and do think he is one of the best villains that we've had, Red Skull for me is the best villain that we've had so far in the Marvel universe. I'd love to see Hugo Weaving come back as a Red villain. It's not going to happen, but I'd love for him to come back.
I was bored out of my mind with Red Skull in the movie. I like him in the comics, but for some reason he just did not. It just did not click for me.
He seemed like very cookie cutter to me. Like he seemed very comical, like very cartoony.
Yeah, very cartoony
in the movie. I'll be honest.
I think some villains they just don't translate that well on the when you bring them to life on the big screen, and I think that was just the case with Red Skull.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it's like
I thought Hugo Weaving did a great job. Like,
yeah. I mean, he played Hugo Weaving.
He's Hugo Weaving, and he's a great actor.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen the movie apparently. He has no interest in ever seeing the movie. He's just like, I don't want to watch that. No, I don't want to.
Dylan says he thinks Alexander Pierce is an underrated villain, and I strongly agree with that because.
Who's Alexander Pierce again?
He's Robert Redford.
Robert Redford.
Oh yeah.
Because again, it's like it's the more political villains, and we've had it again with Baron Zemo.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying they don't like Baron Zemo, and for me, I completely disagree. He's one of the best villains.
I was fine with Baron Zemo.
I much prefer villains with motives that you can kind of side with. It's like that Magneto thing. Magneto is a villain that you don't necessarily agree with his methods, but you can understand exactly where they come from. And I much prefer villains like that. So yeah, Alexander Pierce, Dylan, I completely agree with you. I think he's one of the better villains.
I would easily, like, it's the weird thing is because it's like he's a villain that never throws a punch, right? Like he's a villain that and I'm not saying like all villains have to be Loki and all villains have to be Abomination, but it's almost like two types of villains, right? You have the cold calculating villain that is behind the scenes, and then you have like the guy like Winter Soldier who would be a villain but now is not a villain. So like if you're talking like top 10 Marvel villains, Winter Soldier's one of them. But then now he's not a villain anymore. So it's like he was a villain, now he's not. So you have the guys who are physical, and then you have the guys who are purely behind the scenes doing mental stuff. In that capacity, and Robert Redford, like he's great, and Robert Redford is great in that role. Like it was nice to see Robert Redford get some nice, solid work, So.
The Blue Corner says that he's not a Baron in the movie, and that's what people have a problem with. And he's not the Zemo we know from the comics.
Yeah, he's not wearing a mask and sword fighting.
He's not the Zemo that we deserve, but he's the Zemo that we need right now.
Kind of. He's the Zemo they wrote for Civil War. That's what you got.
No, you know who I think might be one of the most underrated villains? Like he started off so strong, and then they just like completely dropped the ball with him. Whiplash.
Yeah,
he could
he could have been awesome.
Yeah, he could.
I've said this before as well. The first hour of Iron Man 2. I hand on heart, I genuinely believe is one of the best comic book movies ever made. And
I completely agree.
If the second hour of Iron Man 2 was of the same quality as the first hour, I'm not kidding.
It would have been one of the best.
Quite possibly be. Yeah, it'd be my favorite Marvel movie, hands down.
The only good thing
becomes a Silver Centurion Iron Man. Oh my God, that scene is one of the coolest scenes out of all the Marvel movies.
I'm trying to remember it.
When he first goes against Whiplash on the racetrack.
You're breaking up.
Oh yeah, okay, where he puts the thing in the briefcase and stuff. Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, really cool.
So I will say the second half of Iron Man 2, there is one good thing and one good thing only, and his name is Sam Rockwell. And
Sam Rockwell's great.
Like I love when he's describing the weapons he's gonna put on War Machine. And he's like, I call this the ex-wife. This will do this. And then when he comes out to do his demonstration, he comes out dancing, and he's just doing that. Sam Rockwell.
Thank God for Sam Rockwell. One of the best actors working today.
was up for being Tony Stark at one point. He auditioned to be Tony Stark, and they decided. Now, I rightly think they gave it to Robert Downey Jr., but it's like he is the best part of that movie as far as I'm concerned. Like he's describing everything. That's the only saving grace in the second half, I'd say.
Do you know what I'd say the problem is with Iron Man 2 is that they had this excellent villain with Whiplash. Now the problem is, once Whiplash had done what he needed to do, what the narrative of the film needed him to do, they should have left him out. The problem is that they felt like they had to keep him throughout the whole film. And for me, it was like that line he dropped when he meets up with Stark. They have their fight on the racetrack, and then they have a meeting. And Whiplash says to him, a line about there being blood in the water, the sharks are going to circle.
Yeah.
That was it. His job was done. From that point on, another villain should have come in and should have been the shark circling. It's like they had.
And then they could have used him later.
But it's like they felt the need to kind of force him into the rest of that film's narrative, and it didn't work. So for the next half of the film, he's just sitting around not doing a right lot until the inevitable big battle when Stark gets to fight a load of robots. It didn't work. Get rid of him after that scene, after that meeting between them, and that bring someone else in.
You know what makes me laugh? Marvel is terrified to kill one of their heroes, but they have no problem killing any other villains that might be cool. Crossbones? Crossbones seem cool? No, kill them right away.
Yep, Crossbones was cool.
Kill them. It's like they're villains they have no problem knocking off as fast as they possibly can.
Yeah.
But their heroes, they're like, no, we can't kill anyone. Okay, we'll kill Quicksilver because no one cares about him. But no, we can't. It was supposed to be. It was like you guys know it was supposed to be Hawkeye, right?
No.
It was supposed to be Hawkeye that died, and that's what Joss Whedon wrote it because you met Hawkeye's family, and and it would have weight. And Marvel went, can't kill Hawkeye.
You know why they did it. It's because the Quicksilver from X-Men really kicked ass. It's like because when people first saw those images of the Quicksilver from X-Men, everyone was expecting it to be terrible.
Yeah.
And Marvel were just rubbing their hands together, thinking, "Awesome, we've got Quicksilver." And when that film came out, when Days of Future Past came out, and everyone was blown away by Quicksilver, Marvel thought, "All right, our Quicksilver's nowhere near as good."
We gotta kill him. Because it was originally like Joss Whedon had said in an interview that it was supposed to be Hawkeye, and Marvel kiboshed him so fast. They're like, "Nope, can't kill Hawkeye." Then he's like, "But it would be like it would have weight," and they're like, "Yeah, you can't kill Hawkeye," and so they're like, "We can kill Quicksilver because no one cares about him."
Yeah, nobody cared about that version.
You guys know about the whole Fox thing with Quicksilver, like why he was in the film?
Yeah.
Was that a yes or no?
That's a good segue into X-Men, though. What did you guys think of the new movie?
Hold on. Did you guys know why Quicksilver was in Days of Future Past?
Why?
It was a screw you to Marvel.
Oh yeah, because
it was purely he wasn't supposed to be in the movie at all.
Yeah.
And then Fox found out that Marvel was using Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Wow.
And they're just like, they're allowed to do it, but they're not allowed to use the word mutant. Like Marvel can't say the word mutant. That's why they're called miracles. Like it's the stupidest thing. They're miracles. But they're not allowed. And so literally they went, how can we screw? Because they keep on screwing with each other. So they just went, how can we screw with Marvel? And they went, you know what? Let's change the whole scene. Because originally it was supposed to be the Juggernaut breaking Magneto out of prison.
Yeah.
And they'd even started filming it. They'd even had it like filmed.
Wow.
And the film was basically done, and then they found out, and you went, you know what? Let's change that. Screw the Juggernaut. Take that scene out, and we're gonna put a Quicksilver scene in just because we can. and because they knew their movie would be first. And because they're like, we'll be able to get them out first, so everyone will know our quick. And then they made it such an awesome scene.
Yeah, the best scene in the movie.
It was the best scene in the movie, and it was just like Marvel was just like, holy crap, you can't do that. It's So yeah, but it was purely in there as a screw you to Marvel. It was supposed to be the Juggernaut breaking him out of the Pentagon, and they totally they even filmed it and crap, and then they just changed it.
Yeah, I hated the Quicksilver in Age of Ultron, but I love Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
Kurt, just in the sidebars, just asked, does
I just
anyone
noticed
else?
that.
Yeah, he said, does anyone else not think Elizabeth Olsen did a terrible job of doing an Eastern European accent in Civil War?
Well, is he saying she did one or didn't do?
I think he's saying that she did a terrible accent, and
yeah, it's pretty bad.
I didn't. I really didn't notice.
I to be honest, I would kind of agree, and with both, in fact, with Elizabeth Olsen and his. But I think when those two were together, because his was so much worse than hers, it kind of drew attention away from it. Yeah, she didn't look that bad. But the thing is, Elizabeth Olsen obviously has the fact that she's a bit she's gorgeous.
I was going to say, just say it. She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I do like her generally as an actress. I think she's proven herself to be quite good. Actually,
yeah,
she's separated
agree.
herself from her sisters. I think
it was so fun. I didn't know she was part of that family until a year ago. And someone's like, "Wait, no, her sisters." And I'm like, "Who are her sisters?" And they're like, the Olsen twins. And I'm like, "No." It's like, you're kidding, right? They're like, Olsen. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. It's like, but yeah, I had no clue.
I think Psylocke is Fox's answer to Scarlet Witch.
Psylocke was a wasted character.
Yeah, there were so many wasted characters in that new X-Men film. Seriously, it's like Storm. I mean, Storm's always been a wasted character in the whole franchise.
Storm is just there always.
Yeah.
It did feel like a watered-down X-Men movie.
Yeah, it did. It's like Archangel as well. He was a non-event.
Archangel in the comics. I remember reading like I used to be a big comic reader, and I actually had the whole Apocalypse run at one point. I don't know if I still do. I got to check my basement. But he was pivotal. He was the linchpin to Apocalypse's plan. And meanwhile, he's just he's a throwaway character in this. Other than a few cool looking scenes with Nightcrawler, he's basically just a throwaway.
He's a throwaway. Yeah, you don't even care.
And apparently, I don't know where I heard it today, but I can't remember where I heard it, but apparently Psylocke wasn't supposed to be in the movie originally in the script. Charles was supposed to be the Fourth Horseman.
Huh.
He was written to be the Fourth Horseman, and then they're like, no, we don't want that, because it's we need that dichotomy between Charles doing right and Eric doing wrong. And so they're like, okay, we need another mutant, and they're like, well, let's throw a good-looking one in. Yeah, and literally it was just we'll Psylocke, yeah. And it's so funny because Olivia Munn, I didn't really know her that much as an actress until recently. I just started watching The Newsroom. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
I love The Newsroom.
Just finished the first season. It's funny. Elizabeth Munn didn't look like she's pretty. She's very attractive. But the minute she started wearing glasses and speaking Japanese, all of a sudden I'm like, she looks way more attractive now. I agree. She's all of a sudden, put glasses and speaking Japanese, she seems way more attractive. I don't know.
But she looks a lot more athletic as well.
Yeah, I was going to say.
She don't really look like she could fight too well in the newsroom.
In the newsroom. It's she looks very different, but I like her better in the newsroom, I'll be honest. But
yeah, I do.
But no, she was proud of the fact that she turned down the role of from Deadpool. She was supposed to be was asked to be the girlfriend character. Marina Backer, I can never say her name. The girl from Firefly. She was supposed to be. She got offered that role, and she turned it down because she didn't want to be a girlfriend. She didn't want to be the damsel in distress. But I'm like, Yeah, she cuts a car in half in X-Men, but she really doesn't do much more.
No, she's clearly on wires too. Like in every scene where she has to go in the air, it's like her bottom half doesn't know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
But the character she passed over in Deadpool isn't just a girlfriend.
No, I know.
She's actually quite a strong,
character.
really good character. Kurt asks if I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad. Hell yes.
Yes,
I am looking forward to Suicide Squad. Man alive, another appearance by Ben Affleck's Batman. We've got the Joker, we've got Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Good grief. My most anticipated movie from now on in the rest of
I'm
this
looking
year.
forward to it.
The rest of the year is Suicide Squad. It's easily Suicide Squad.
What if they
Again,
gave
the Star Wars as well, but like for me, it's Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Do we know
what if
what
they
it's
gave us a
rated yet?
cameo by Superman in Suicide Squad? That'd be crazy.
I'd be well up for that. I'd love it, but I don't think they will. I don't think.
No,
they
I
will,
don't
but-
either.
Yeah.
So, do we know what it's rated yet?
NC-17.
I think
Is
it's
it?
going to be. I think it's going to be a 15 over here.
So it's gonna be it's gonna be rated R basically. Okay, because my daughters are desperate to see this movie. I'm not kidding. Like my oldest is 14, my youngest is just about to be 12, and they're both like. Now my youngest is kind of freaked out by the Joker, like she loves the Heath Ledger Joker, and so she saw the whatever his name is.
Jared Leto.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I might want blank.
He looks like he's going to go to some dark places.
She saw him and just was like, I don't like him.
Yeah.
But they're both like, can we see the movie? And I'm like, I don't even know what it's rated yet. It's like if it's PG-13, I'm like, we'll go see it and then we'll decide whether you can see it. But
I think it'll be PG-13, to be honest.
they'll lose audience if they don't make it PG-13.
Yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure it'll be PG-13.
it's like at the same time, Deadpool showed you that rated R can work easily.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Oh yeah.
because they're both desperate to see Deadpool too.
No.
I'm like, no.
Deadpool deserves VR.
What do you guys think of Jared Leto as an actor in general? Because I think he's maybe a bit weird in real life, but as an actor, purely as an actor, I think he's delivered. I think he's shown actually that he is really good. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him as the Joker.
What else has he done? Because I know he did Fight Club.
Dallas Buyers Club. Have you guys
He
seen
won
that?
No, I haven't
he
seen
won
Dallas
an
Buyers
Oscar
Club.
for Dallas Buyers
He
Club.
was
Yeah.
fantastic in that.
He
I
won an
haven't
Oscar
seen
for
it.
it.
Yeah, he did.
I
I'm
almost watched
telling
it
you,
a couple
he is
weeks.
going to be a great Joker.
Yeah.
What else did he do?
Requiem
'Cause I
for
know
a
he-
Dream.
That's where I knew him from. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah!
He's a solid-
lest we forget, Urban Legend.
Yeah, Urban Legend.
Never seen it.
But Blue Corner just mentioned he's in 30 Seconds to Mars, which is
Yes.
their first two albums are great.
See, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't know he was in 30 Seconds to Mars until after I knew him as an actor, right? So
Yeah.
it was like,
So is his
And-
brother. His brother's
and-
the drummer.
yeah. So I was just like, because it's like it took me a while to accept Justin Timberlake as an actor, because like the only thing I ever heard of him for was for like NSYNC and all that kind of crap. And so it's like, but I didn't have any of that baggage with Jared Leto because all I knew him from was acting. And then they're like, oh, by the way, he's in 30 Seconds to Mars. I'm like, oh, I know that band. It's like, it's like I like that band. That's a good band. It's
I've been listening to 30 Seconds to Mars ever since they first started, but when Jared Leto wasn't even like a big name.
big name, yeah.
Yeah, that
So-
first album is so good.
Yeah, it is. I've heard the first
Really
one. It's
good.
pretty good. So yeah, I think he's going to do great as the Joker.
I don't like the first album, to be honest.
No?
I like
Oh, 30 Seconds to Mars?
It's
No,
really
I like
spacey, but I like it.
I like the second one, but and you'll probably think I'm weird for saying this. My favorite 30 Seconds to Mars album is actually the third one.
No.
I'm trying to think what the third one is.
Well,
I've
the third one's. I think the main argument that a lot of people throw at the third album is that it's probably overproduced, but
Yeah.
I tend to really like overproduced albums because it's just for me. If you're gonna go into the studio to record an album, then why not throw everything into there? Like, if you know, I think you should be making an album that is going to be really hard to translate live, and then once you've made that album, then figure out the problem of playing it live. This is one of the things that I love about Muse. Muse go into a studio and they just go bonkers. They throw everything in there, but then they figure it out and they play it live, and it sounds just as good. That's what
I was
makes
in a cover band once, and we covered like 4 Muse songs. We did.
Spot on.
I played Muse and Guitar Hero, so that's what I can say.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, their drummer's really good.
Lee, the next time you do a team up with Tim, next time you do a track, this is a request from me. I want to hear a Muse one.
What about Assassin?
Oh, really? Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the songs we covered. I'll talk to Tim and we'll see if we'll do a cover of Assassin for you guys.
Definitely. That'll get like 200 plays, seriously, from me. Just in one day.
I'll play bass on it if you
That's one of my favorite songs ever.
Tim can play the guitar. I'll play the bass.
Okay, cool.
Just let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely let you know. I'm actually in the process of putting together another music cover for Halloween. It's for the movie Trick or Treat that came out in 1986, the heavy metal movie, not the one, not the anthology. But there's a group called Fastway that did the soundtrack, and I'm gonna do a drum cover, and my nephew is actually gonna do the guitar on it for the song Trick or Treat. So that's gonna be cool. Yeah.
Luke says Muse are my favourite band, but Luke just said, quoting me, just throw everything in there, Brian. I think a few filmmakers in Hollywood employ that same method with films. Yeah, like Michael Bay. But music and films.
Do you like
music and films are two different things. When I'm sat there and I just want to, it's okay to go overboard with it. Queen are the same. I love Queen as well because they used to overproduce things like nobody's business.
Yeah, you like Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys, Pet Sounds.
I still to this day have not actually listened to Pet Sounds.
I don't think I've listened to
that is a great album. I mean,
I've heard. Yeah.
Although I must say, Love and Mercy is a great movie.
I don't think I've seen it, Peter.
Oh, but Paul Dano?
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it.
While we're on the subject of music, what are some of your guys' favorite moments in films that use a song? What's your favorite use of music in some films?
Man, I love music in film, and I'm drawing a blank. It's like one of my favorite parts of a movie. If a movie has great music, that's a good start for me.
Yeah.
Definitely Prince and Batman. Serious, I love Prince and Batman. That's great.
Bat dance.
Yeah, Bat dance.
Yeah, it is. I love
Party Man.
I love Purple Rain, the song, but I love just that song, the title track from it. This was a question actually just the other day on. And
Zach just mentioned the Halloween theme in Halloween 3, and that is one of the most underrated scores ever. You're right, Zach.
In the third, right. Okay, like Season of the Witch.
Yes, Season of the Witch. The score to Season of the Witch is one of the most underrated scores, and it's a shame because the movie, that Halloween name, pretty much cast the movie out, and everything that went in the movie was also cast out, including the score, which was a John Carpenter score. Oh, it's one of the best scores, though.
Are we talking scores or are we talking songs?
Oh, both.
Yeah.
Because Like Forrest Gump has some of the best
Uh,
uses of 70s and stuff songs and
just
80s
any
songs.
like yeah, both. So
Oh yeah, X-Men
yeah, that's
Apocalypse,
answered
Four
by Elton
Horsemen by
John.
Metallica. It's very good.
That was
There's
cheap.
there's a scene in the game, David Fincher film, where he uses Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit, and
What a great
like
song.
that song has been used now so many times. But that was like that was the first time I'd heard that song because I went to see the
Wow.
game. I was 15 years old when it came out, and it was one of the first films I went to see on my own. But I've seen where Michael Douglas goes into the house and he thinks somebody's still in there. He thinks because someone's broken in, and the Jefferson Airplane track comes on. But yeah, I always remember just how, like just it being lyrics to it, kind of.
Yeah,
Just clearly they were on drugs when they came.
Yeah.
I'll give you three things quickly.
Yep.
Number one, my favorite musician of all time, I discovered because of a movie, which was Elliott Smith, who wrote a lot of the music for Good Will Hunting, and wrote
Yeah,
this
that's good.
the Oscar-nominated song Miss Misery
Great song.
that went against Titanic and stood no chance of winning because Titanic, but
Yeah.
it's a better song than the one from Titanic. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he became like to this day he's my favorite artist of all time. I actually got to see him in concert once before he killed
Wow.
himself. But yeah, so yeah, that whole album is like a lot of it. Some of the moody stuff is stuff he wrote. Some of it's written by another person, but a lot of his songs were just put right in the movie and stuff, like just as background music or as just the overall score. What was the other one I was gonna say? It's gone. But use of music in a movie, Shawshank Redemption, the two ladies singing opera.
That's good. The Crow. I forgot to mention The Crow's.
The Crow
known
soundtrack
for its music. The Crow soundtrack is one of the greatest soundtracks ever.
I listened to that thing until it was almost broken, and that was a CD.
I still listen to that soundtrack to this day. Matter of fact, the cover that me and Tim did for The Cure, that's one of my favorite videos I've done on YouTube.
Oh, is it The Cure that? Who was it that did the?
The Cure did "Burn," the first song from the Crow soundtrack.
Yeah. Okay.
And you want to hear a funny story? They didn't even know that song. Like 20 years later, somebody said, "Hey, why don't you guys ever perform "Burn" from the Crow soundtrack?" And they were like, they didn't remember it. They said, "Was that a song we did for a soundtrack?" They had never performed the song live since recording it. 20 years later, they finally performed the song for the first time. It's amazing.
No, that's a great soundtrack. I listen to that thing a lot.
It is such a great soundtrack, yeah.
Brian, you got anything?
Sicario. Definitely a good one, yeah.
Is Brian frozen, or is it just me?
I think he's frozen. Frozen's a good soundtrack.
Frozen can be a good soundtrack. Yeah. So, yeah, because he's just either that or he's really pensive thinking about
It Follows has a great soundtrack.
Yeah, it has some really good mood music where it's just like to get you freaked out. Scary soundtrack, just use of music. I just watched The Witch.
Oh yeah!
Holy crap! Music. Like just the music just totally sets the tone with the cinematography.
Oh yeah, it's creepy. It's eerie.
It gets you like. And I just posted on Twitter and stuff today. I was like, do you look at rabbits differently from after you've seen?
They use a lot of like acoustic instruments in that score too, which is really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in that score. So
I love music though. Music is a big part of why I love movies. It really is.
Yeah. Okay. What's it called? Edgar Wright movies like Shaun of the Dead, where they use Queen and stuff.
Oh yeah.
To the scene, like where they're trying to like kill the zombie, and like everyone, like the jukebox is singing along, and like they're hitting the zombie in tune with the Queen soundtrack.
We're getting a lot here. The Shining soundtrack is great.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Collins or Michael McDonald. Phil Collins, of course.
Yeah, probably. I'd have to say Phil Collins. Highlander soundtrack. Highlander soundtrack completely. Well, Highlander doesn't technically have a soundtrack. There is no. You can't go buy the Highlander soundtrack because it's just an album by Queen. It's called "It's a Kind of Magic."
Yeah.
But that's the Highlander soundtrack, but it's not called the Highlander soundtrack, even though it's literally it's a Highlander soundtrack. So
Goodfellas soundtrack is also I think one of the best for an era.
Yeah.
I think it's 60s music, but yeah, I love the music in Goodfellas. Every time I hear Layla by Eric Clapton, I think of people hanging in a freezer. Yeah, I think we lost Brian.
He just put on the thing. Can you not hear me? No,
he's in the abyss.
You are stuck with your fingers touching your face like this, and we can't see you all.
Is he 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
He's 20. I have that movie waiting to be watched upstairs.
Yeah, I was thinking of The Abyss when Ed Harris is below the ocean at the bottom. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? No. Whoa, Brian.
All right, so let's see what Brian's saying.
He's saying some stuff.
Brian, this is effing annoying.
Yeah. Brian, how dare you?
Sorry, Brian, too late. Oh man, he's signing out. Okay.
I was sign out and sign back in, but I'm like, will that kill the live stream because it's on his channel?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Sorry, everyone who's waiting to hear from Brian.
So, Peter, what are you looking forward to in the Justice League movie?
I'm looking forward to the Flash being awesome in the Justice League.
I've never been a huge Flash fan, but I've never read the comics either, though.
I've never read many of the Flash comics. I've always just loved the character.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if they have yet to do him, even I've watched the TV show, and even in the TV show, they're not doing him to his potential because, Quicksilver, everyone loves the Quicksilver scenes in the two X-Men movies, right?
Yeah.
He runs faster than Quicksilver.
That's what I've heard.
He runs so much faster than Quicksilver that Quicksilver looks like he's standing still when the Flash is truly running as fast as he can. So it's I'm just they've never done him as cool as Quicksilver's been done. Now, I understand that's probably budgetary costs, but
yeah, the way they did Quicksilver is perfect.
It's just it's still it's he
fun.
can do that. The Flash can do that, and is that fast. I remember there was have you ever watched Death Battle? It's a thing on Screw Attack where they take two people and they break them down, everything about them, and they did Flash versus Quicksilver, and basically it's they're saying the Flash is so fast that he thinks faster than Quicksilver can. He did the thing in the comics where it's he showed up to a fire of a building and ran in, took everyone out of the building, put out the fire, ran to the library, read books on how to fix the building, ran back, fixed the building before the fire people had been called. Before the firefighters had been. It's that's how fast he is. It's and I'm and they just never seem to give him his due. So I'm if they do him like that in the Justice League stuff, I think he could be really awesome. I don't know about the casting. They've cast, I think it's Ezra Miller to be him.
Yeah, they did. I think this could be really interesting in Justice League if they have one of those quote unquote Quicksilver moments in the Justice League where the Flash just kicks ass. That'd be great.
Yeah. Problem is everyone's gonna go, hey, it's Quicksilver moment. It's
yeah, I know that's the problem.
Flash just existed before Quicksilver, but it's the same thing. General public has no clue about comics, right? And that's part of the that's part of the problem, but also part of the beauty of what DC's trying to do in some ways. Like some of the things they did in Batman v Superman, they did clearly for fan service to people who know, and like with the apocalypse scene, or not apocalypse scene, the dark side scene where Batman's in the duster and you see the flying, what's it called? It's like when Superman chains him up and takes off his mask and stuff like that. Like that's all in reference to dark side.
Yeah.
And like I knew that, but my wife didn't, and so she's just like, "What's going on?" And it's like, it's to do with Darkseid. They're setting up for Justice League movie, It's like, but I'm like, it's cool, but at the same time, it's like part of it is like, oh, we're giving some nods to the fans, and part of it's like, okay, we're confusing some people because it's like people have no clue why this scene is happening. And so it's like, I like that they do it, but at the same time, I think they may need to do it a bit smarter sometimes, because it's like a big scene where people have no clue what that was about, and then like, oh, it was a dream, and then it's like, and then right at like when he wakes up from that dream, he has like the Flash pops in, which I'm assuming is the Flash, yelling to him that it's like, and so it was just like, and again, people were like, what was that?
I just heard that scene really. I was lost, and I've only seen Batman once. But that one scene, I'm kind of analyzing it again because there was some interesting stuff going on, but I didn't even know that was the Flash that was talking to him.
See, neither did I at first. I was like, who was that? I'm like, okay, I'm thinking that's the Flash, but he's wearing like armor, so it's like you can't tell. Like it's like usually the Flash isn't wearing that much like thickness and stuff. So I was like, I think it's the Flash. I'm pretty sure it's the Flash, but it's like the Flash, like part of his thing is he can time travel if he wants to.
That's crazy.
Because he's like just that fast and stuff, and so he can, like, so I'm like, okay, so obviously he's time traveling, but it's just it's cool, but at the same time, I think they need to do it a little bit better because they left a lot of people just going, I don't know what's going on here. It's like, so I don't know. I'm hoping that he's really cool in the Justice League movie.
Me too. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what they come up with.
Yeah, because DC, like, problem is DC has some really cool heroes that not a ton of the general public know about, but they also have like a ton of really good villains that like their rogues gallery is way better than Marvel's rogues gallery.
Yeah, DC has great villains.
They have way better villains, and like that's one of the problems Marvel is running into is the fact that their villains aren't good.
I'm surprised they didn't do like a full-on Doomsday movie, with Superman. That was one thing that irked me.
Yeah, I think he should have been saved. I think there should have been something.
I agree.
Else.
He was kind of shoehorned in there. The scene was awesome.
Yeah, the scene
was
really cool, but it was just like I think they should have saved that for like the next Superman movie that they wanted to do.
Oh yeah, it would have been great.
They should have saved it for that because it was just like it seemed a little overpacked with stuff, and like I really liked the movie. I liked it a lot.
I loved it, but it did have problems.
It's just
did you watch Smallville?
No, I tried. Same reason I don't watch Gotham. I
don't watch Gotham either.
I hate when they change backstory.
Yeah.
To suit TV shows more than So it's like to me it was like they're like, oh, Smallville, it's cool. It's when Clark Kent's a kid, like or like a teenager. I was like, okay. And then like
Smallville had some really good episodes actually, and they had a whole season 8 was all about Doomsday, which was a really good season.
Because like my friend loved it. He was absolutely loved it, and he's like explaining it to me, and he's like, so Lex Luthor's his best friend. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, you officially lost me. I'm like, Lex Luthor and him are friends? And he's like, yeah, they live in this. I'm like, Lex Luthor didn't come from Smallville? And it was just like, and then he's like, oh, and then this, and then this. And I was just like, the rewriting, like, what lost me officially was when a kid was talking to me about Superman, and I started saying something, and he goes, no, Superman and Lex Luthor were always friends. I was just like, I want to smack you right now, kid. It's like I've read the comics. Well, no. I was like,
the one thing that Smallville had going for it, I thought, was Michael Rosenbaum. That was the best Lex Luthor that I've ever seen on screen, and he should have been in. I think he should have been in Batman v Superman. That's how great he was.
Strange enough, do you know what role he played on the Justice League cartoon?
What?
He was the Flash.
No kidding. That's crazy.
He plays the Flash in the Justice League cartoon. And there's an episode in the Justice League cartoon where the Flash and Lex Luthor trade bodies.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Clancy Brown played Lex Luthor, and so
I heard that.
they started like there's this like so basically it's like all of a sudden Lex Luthor's in the Flash's body and he can do everything the Flash can do, and he starts like running around and trying to get away from everyone, and everyone's like, crap, it's Luthor. It's like because they immediately realize that it's like the guy who's trying to do a mind thing, and like they realize it's Lex Luthor, and like immediately they're trying to catch him. But at one point, like Lex Luthor runs into a bathroom, or like the Flash runs into a bathroom. And he's like, well, at least I can find out who the Flash is. And he takes the Flash's mask off, and he looks in the mirror and goes, I have no clue who this is. It's like, because it's like the Flash isn't like a famous person or anything like that. So, but they were making it was so funny because like they still played themselves with their own voices and stuff. So they would make each other say things as like the actors. So it's like Rosenbaum would make Clancy Brown say things just to see him say them as the Flash, but with his and he'd have to and then they'd go the reverse. So it's like Lex Luthor goes into the bathroom and he's like among like a whole bunch of villains, and he goes in the bathroom and he's like trying to not freak out because he's the Flash in Lex Luthor's body. And as he's leaving, the guy's like, aren't you going to wash your hands? And he's just like, no. Because I'm evil. It's just like, oh my lord. So it's, it was just funny that like he actually played the Flash, but he was Lex Luthor in Smallville. Yeah, I heard he was really great as Lex Luthor.
Yeah, Luke just brought up that Christopher Reeve, I remember that. He actually made a few cameos in Smallville, and it was really cool. Yeah. Michael Rosenbaum, he was so good that he left the show for a little bit, and they pretty much had to beg him to come back because the ratings were going down.
We need you. That must be nice, It's just like
yeah,
it's nice. It's nice when you start something like even like what's his name, Robert Downey Jr. Like when he signed on for Iron Man, he signed on for very little money, like. It was not a lot of money because like they didn't have a lot of money. Marvel it was Marvel Studios. It wasn't Disney yet, and so they didn't have a huge backing. And so when he signed on, he's like, okay, I'll sign. And like that's part of the thing. Like what's his name? The guy who played Rhodey. Oh, my mind doesn't work well anymore. I apologize. Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Played Rhodey in the first Iron Man. He actually made more for that than Robert Downey Jr. did.
Really?
Yeah, because he signed his contract first, and
he ended up not doing the second one because of money.
Yeah, because he was like they wanted to downgrade him, and he's like, no, and they're like, yeah, well, it's like sorry, it's not about you, and they're like, he didn't make as much money, but now it's like, what's his name was able to when he renegotiated because he'd only signed on for so many movies, he was just like, that'll be $50 million for that many pictures and. Like what's Marvel gonna do? They're gonna pay him. Like he's making you billions literally. It's like by being in your movies. So it's one of those things where you just end up paying.
Well, I guess I gotta sign off, but I've had a lot of fun here.
I guess we're just giving up on Brian. So we'll see. You sign off and I'll see if we can figure out Brian here. But other than that, it's fun talking to you, Lee.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate everybody coming in and chatting with us, too. I really had a good time, and I want to do this again.
And look next Thursday for Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs next Thursday, guys.
Next Thursday.
So, spread the word. Yeah. Anyway, I'm signing off, and I thank everybody for having me. My name is Lee from Drum Dums, and peace out, everybody. Drum Dum out.
Later, bro.
Later, brother.
Well, it's just me right now, and I'm not that entertaining, but I'll give Brian a second to see if he can figure out how to come back in. And let me go to the chat. Okay, so if there's any question you want answered by me until Brian gets back, and I'll give him like 3 minutes. And if not, then I'll leave, and because you guys probably don't want to see me. And that's cool. I'm fine with that. So answer or ask anything you want, and I'll answer it, assuming it's not bad. Well, Brian says he's right here, but I'm not hearing him or seeing him. So maybe it's like, hold on one second, people. There's the dog barking. All right, let's go to the chat. How often do I wash the beard? Whenever I take a shower. And if you want to know that, I take a shower every couple of days. I see a bunch of Miyazaki slips in your background. Are you a fan? I am a huge fan of Miyazaki. I love Miyazaki. Disney can eat his shorts as far as I'm concerned. He is one of my favorite directors, and when I say that, I do not say animated directors. He is one of my favorite directors, hands down. And if you probably have seen this, but if you haven't, I would, what's the word? Highly suggest you check out. I think it's Kingdoms of Dreams and Madness, and it's a look at Studio Ghibli. And I apologize, there's a dog barking. It's a look at Studio Ghibli behind the scenes and how Miyazaki makes a film and how he literally draws every panel himself, which is insane, and passes it off, and quite often doesn't know how the film ends when he starts. So yeah, we own a bunch of Studio Ghibli. Anytime I can get a Studio Ghibli film for a decent price, I buy it. Let's see. Dylan Flickinger, favorite Pixar movie? Incredibles. Incredibles, I think, is probably their best movie. So, yeah, Dennis, no, I'm home. There's no lady in the background cleaning right now. So, no, I'm home. And it's not 3 o'clock in the morning. So, yeah, for you, it must be later. But yeah, I'm home right now. So, I don't have my nice setup behind me because I was lazy and didn't want to set it up. So. But yeah, Incredibles is my favorite one. Yeah, of course, Luke, you've seen the documentary. Why wouldn't you? It's such a good document, but it's crazy. Like, he is crazy. And I love him for it. But, like, Miyazaki is just nuts because, it's like almost 2 o'clock in the morning for Dennis. So, Dennis, you should be in bed. Yeah. If you guys don't know, I usually work nights. Tonight I'm off and Friday night I'm off, but I usually end up working. I work nights all night from 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. to 7. Sorry, let me start that again. I work from 11 till 7 in the morning. So, all right. Brian wants me to sign off, and then we're going to start and try and come back in a couple minutes. So I will do that, and if any of you are still around, God bless you. Thank you. It's awesome. If you don't believe in God, that's cool too. Then I bless you as much as I can. All right, so let me do that, and I hope to see you all back, whoever's here, in a couple minutes.